The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. This is a quote from Buddha, and as someone who has become a fluent, confident English speaker, despite being a Hungarian native speaker, despite being extremely busy back in my 20s, I honestly couldn't agree more. And if you ever wonder what are the habits of successful English learners, here I am to share with you 3 of the most crucial English learning habits that will supercharge your fluency, and by the end of this video you'll be walking away with a simple way to start, build and then sustain a habit so you could learn to speak English fluently as fast as possible. I'm not motivated to learn English today. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. I'm just so nervous. It's so difficult to speak English. I will never learn how to speak fluently. I get so frustrated when I don't understand everything in a movie I'm watching, so I just put subtitles on all the time. And if you recognize yourself doing at least one of these, by the end of this video, you will understand why doing these, feeling that something is difficult, feeling frustrated, or feeling nervous about doing things, is just a clear sign of one thing and one thing only: you don't have the habit of doing that. Because here's what most struggling English students do. They watch videos, series, movies. They could also have conversations, but not very often. They would also probably take the time to sit down and study some grammar, watch vocabulary videos on social media and take notes. But they still find understanding English speakers difficult. It still takes time for them to put sentences together, think of what the next word is, what the perfect grammar is to use. They don't have the confidence to speak English. Their fluency isn't improving much. Just like you learn to drive a car by repeatedly driving a car, or you get better at lifting weights by lifting subsequently heavier and heavier weights, you train your brain to speak English automatically through consistent action. And the reason why habits are so incredibly powerful is because your brain loves habits. It sees them as something safe, something that's okay to repeat because it's not going to get you into trouble. Remember, your brain's main job is to keep you alive, so it will help you keep repeating those habits. But students who keep telling themselves, oh, I didn't watch a movie today as a way to practice, or I didn't record myself today because I was too tired, or a neighbor came over and started talking about his cat's health issues, or now I just feel like using social media for an hour, you will never build the habits you need that will make sure you do 2 things. You will automatically do the things you need to do to become a fluent English speaker without always looking for motivation. And you will see how what you do progressively becomes easier and easier because it's now part of your habits. I talked about this on my Instagram stories, but I really didn't feel like recording last week's video on YouTube. By the way, have you checked it out already? I felt a bit nervous, I was too tired, and it took me about 10 minutes to record the first sentence of that video, and I almost gave up. But then I said to myself, I committed to releasing 1 video a week on my YouTube channel to help people watching these videos take away one thing that once they apply it, it can make learning English better, faster, more efficient, and it will help someone speak English more fluently. Keeping that end goal in mind and doing something towards it, even if it feels scary, even if you feel frustrated, even if you're a bit tired, it's going to help you make real progress. But I talk more about this in a future video, how becoming disciplined about your English learning is actually easier than you think. Now, this brings us to the next mistake I see all the time: the obsession with grammar. A lot of struggling English students spend too much time studying grammar rules, completing grammar exercises, watching grammar videos, taking notes on those grammar videos, and they probably rarely ask themselves, what are the habits of successful English learners? And yet their fluency isn't improving. They still make the same mistakes again and again. They can't apply all that grammar that they spend so much time studying, and they also lack vocabulary that they could use to communicate. And if someone keeps studying grammar rules passively watching grammar videos or completing pages and pages of exercises, they might risk not being able to use all that grammar in conversations. They forget what most successful English learners already know. Learning is context specific. This means if you study grammar rules and complete grammar exercises, you'll get better at studying grammar rules and completing exercises. Your grammar in grammar exercises will be impeccable. There's one thing you need to switch to if you'd like to make fewer mistakes, if you'd like to translate word by word less from your first language and use expressions or phrasal verbs when you speak. You will be able to use grammar in speaking if you practice grammar through listening and speaking. When we speak, we eventually use all that grammar knowledge that we picked up through multiple exposures to the same grammar structure as we listened and kept paying attention to certain grammar structures in conversations that we listened to. When we speak English, we eventually replay in our mind and then use all that grammar knowledge that we learned as a result of multiple exposures to the same grammar structure in conversations, in the video series, anything else that we listen to. And in this video, I talk about how absolutely crucial focusing on your listening skills and training your ears is so that you can learn to speak English fluently. Focus most of your attention on learning grammar through reading, listening, and speaking. And the best way to start doing that is graded readers. I read a bunch of graded readers back in my teens that really helped me skyrocket my fluency and speak more grammatically correctly. Graded readers are basically short books designed for language learners at all kinds of levels that contain specific grammar structures at that level, and they continuously expose you to those grammar structures and a specific range of vocabulary so you don't feel overwhelmed and you can naturally make progress with your fluency without even noticing that you're picking up so many grammar structures. If you want to have a look at a couple of the best series that I can recommend, have a look at the link in the description below. I see too many struggling English students give up way too early. They're so hard on themselves. They start feeling really excited about learning English. They do everything we talk about in this video. They listen to English, they watch movies, they take notes, they study grammar, vocabulary, yet many times they don't see the results that they expected. And that's where it all starts, expectations. One of the answers I always give when people ask me, what are the habits of successful English learners, is this: they have the habit of being patient. I know, in this day and age, everyone is in a hurry. You quickly need to improve your fluency to pass that interview, to get that job at that international company. Or you need to quickly get fluent and confident in English because you want to travel abroad. But if you know anything about learning a skill, any kind of learning takes place over time. We're talking about a language that you're learning that you can't use 24/7, and not just because you need to sleep 7 or 8 hours a day, but also because if you don't live in an English-speaking country, you have limited exposure and you are not in that language community where you could practice that a lot. So if you only spend a few hours a week doing something in English, you've got to give yourself time. If you have limited time to spend using English, you can always do these two things. A, you look for more effective ways to make faster progress with your fluency, and that's where this video will be very useful for you. And you stay patient, you keep challenging yourself as a way to motivate yourself, and you look at what you already know and appreciate what you already know how to say instead of always looking for things you don't know yet. I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that language learning takes a hell of a lot of time. Why do you think there are fewer people out there who have mastered English than people who can't speak English so well? It's because most people aren't patient with themselves. We live in a world that makes us think that there's a quick solution to everything. Our whole society is built around fast results. We get food in 10 minutes. You could get some tips and information in like a 15-second TikTok. So people are used to getting really quick results all the time. But the truth is, anything that's worth learning takes time. And the reason I'm such a passionate, lifelong learner in all areas of my life is because I know that no matter how long it takes for me to gain that knowledge, to build that skill set, knowledge and experience are things no one could ever take away from you. In this video, I'm sharing with you how being a patient learner, consistently working on my fluency skills in the number of hours that I committed to every week, always got me results. It's just like planting a seed. You aren't getting frustrated or nervous when the plant isn't growing after a few weeks or even a month. It just needs consistent nutrition and water and then sunlight, and it will grow into a beautiful plant in the long term that everyone can look at. Whenever you get frustrated because you feel like you haven't made much progress, always tell yourself what I teach the clients that I coach: nothing's wrong with me. My fluency is on the way as long as I consistently put in the effort. I guess I could even tell you 3 more habits that successful English learners have, but let's just make sure you follow at least one of the habits that you heard in this video so that you could start making more progress, and I'll make a part 2 where you could hear about 3 other habits that are equally as important. If you'd like to see how exactly I help my clients reach fluency, communicate effectively, and use a wide range of grammar and vocabulary when they speak by focusing on building one fluency habit, you can check out my masterclass on building habits, 1 habit fluency, in the description below. Hope in this video you found an answer to the question, what are the habits of successful English learners? Which of these habits do you think you're going to start working on right now, right after watching this video? Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll shower you with a bunch of advice in the reply, I promise. Till then, see you in the next video. Watching grammar really fine, looking at grammar rules, will naturally probe me. Read videos are books. I'm sharing with you how learning grammar through re-picked up